Hi everyone, welcome back to Java 1 for All. In this video, we are going to teach Java how to identify two objects and tell if they are the same or not. So I'm just going back here to what we had, smartphone 1 and smartphone 2. And now we are going back to the smartphone class. So since we have all the classes that we created automatically inheriting or more precisely extending object, we are going to override the equals. So there are some rules that you have to follow when you are overriding the equals. So if you open here the equals in the object class, you have to go through all of this. So it needs to be reflexive, symmetric, transitive, consistent, and for any non-null reference, you always have to return false if you are comparing to null. So basically, this is the rule that you have to follow when you are creating a equals. Of course, things will be way easier once we learn how to do it. Now, let's go back here and we have to get started. Remember, you always have two objects in the equals. One is the object that's triggering the equals. In this case, every time we call, for example, s1 dot equals, the object that we have here on this is the object that s1 is making the reference. In this case, it would be this one. So you always have two objects. One, that's this, the reference to the object that is executing the equals, and the other one is the one that we have as argument. So following that rule, we have to do the following. First, if the this will never be null, because otherwise it would get a null pointer. So we always know that this will be valid. But object, well, there is no guarantee that object will not be null. We could do this. And we have to be careful with that. So the first rule here is check if object is null. So if it is null, just return false. The object, this, and the object that we are getting as argument is not, they are not the same. Now, after we have this, we have to verify if the reference are exactly the same. So basically, if this object is equal to the object, and by equal I mean they have exactly the same reference in memory, they are the same object, so we just return true. Now if we get to this point, we have to check another thing. The object that we have here is exactly what it says, object. How do I know if this is actually a smartphone? Well, I could do something like this, for example, new exception, and technically it is valid because you are accepting object there, but they would never be the same. So we have to double check that. So if this dot get class is different from object dot get class, just return false. They are not the same object. They cannot be the same object. And then, since we get to this point, we know for sure that this is a smartphone. Basically, we can cast smartphone, the object, produce local variable, let's call smartphone. And here is where actually the fun will begin. Basically, how do we tell Java that two objects are exactly the same? In our case, we want to check the serial number. So we have to return if the serial number is equal, the serial number from this is equal to the serial number that's being passed as argument. But there is a chance that the serial number is null. For example, I could do this. We can pass serial number null. So first thing is return serial number. It's different than null. And so if this is null, it will return false. Serial number is a string. and string already provided for us the equals implementation. So we can call serial number dot equals, the equals from the string class, basically this one, equals who? The smartphone dot serial number. So if you think smartphone's pretty confusing, you can rename these to other smartphone. So now you know that is the one coming from the whoever is calling. Now this is only returning true if this guy is different than null, and because if you don't check this is going to throw no pointer exception. And then if the serial number, basically the serial number we have in this object, is equals to the serial number that's coming from the other object. Now if we go back here to equal test 01, S1 and S2, they should be the same, and they are the same because they have exactly the same serial number. But this has a tiny small problem that you have to be careful. When you are implementing the equals, you have to define, based on your business rules, how those objects they will be the same. Because, for example, if I change here to iPhone for Java, they are exactly the same object, even though they have completely different names, and for us as humans, we know that they are not the same. But for the computer, you have two serial numbers, something that should not be possible for two different phones. So maybe the problem is lying somewhere else. But you have to be careful when you are implementing the equals, and based on the business rule, how should Java understand that two objects are the same, logically speaking. So in our case, we are going to leave it like this. If the serial number of two smartphone objects are the same, for us, they are the same. So that's everything that I want to tell you for this class. Let's continue with more topics in the next one. See you.